Hello, weary travelers, and welcome to the first video on my channel. There are those who call me Bard Breaker, and today we're here to ask and answer the question, is it possible for me to beat Pokémon Yellow using only a single MUK? We're choosing MUK today because I feel like he's one of Ash's most underutilized Pokémon from the show, and because I wanted a Pokémon that I felt I could reasonably beat the game with, but would also have some challenges along the way, and I feel like MUK fits that bill. So let's go ahead and take a look at his stats. Now, I'm not a numbers guy, and honestly, I don't ever pay attention to stats, EVs, IVs, etc. I've just always built a team I liked, used moves that I liked. There was never a lot of strategizing and math involved for me with the game. But since we're going to be doing challenges, I felt like it's important to at least kind of get a feel for the stats and to show you guys at home what we're looking at. Looking at our stats, I see a couple of things that leap out at me. MUK has a pretty high base HP stat. In fact, its 105 is just one less than Mewtwo with 106, and it puts him in a three-way tie with Rhydon and Kangaskhan for 8th of the highest out of all original 150. He's got pretty good defense and a passable attack. Those are also admirable qualities here. It's actually quite fortunate that he has such high HP in the defense, because we're not going to be doing a lot of damage, at least not in the early game. Let's take a look at that moveset and you can see what I'm talking about. MUK only learns 2 damaging moves by level up, Pound and Sludge. We'll start the run off with Pound, which is a passable damage dealing move with 100 accuracy, but with only 40 power, it makes it just marginally better than Tackle. It's normal type, which means we're going to have issues with rock Pokemon, but fortunately I don't remember there being a single rock Pokemon anywhere in Gen 1, so we should be fine. We won't learn Sludge until level 37, which depending on how well Brock goes, we may very well have to be at that level before we can progress that far. I also feel like Sabrina and some other psychic trainers along the way might pose challenges, and Giovanni with his ground type should also be an interesting challenge later, but we'll cross those bridges as we come to them. Our other starting moves like Disable and Poison Gas could make for some interesting cheeky plays, but we're going to have to rely on abysmal Gen 1 accuracy for those moves. They're only 55% accurate here, while in current gens they are 100 and 90% accurate respectively. Once we learn Minimize later, that could be useful for evasion, but we'll see. I've never been one for stat boosting moves, they never seem to work as well for me as they do the computer. Once we can progress in the game a bit though, we get a bit more variety and our toolbox opens up a bit and allows us access to some surprising TM moves. We can learn Thunderbolt, Mega Drain, and Fire Blast, among others. Toxic and Body Slam also stand out as options, and will almost certainly be seeing time on MUK as we go. I've decided to write the script as we progress through the game, so at this point I honestly don't know how well we'll do. I believe we can do this challenge for sure. I've certainly seen other guys like Mah-Dry-Bread beat games with far less on their team, but it is my first challenge and it's been a while since I've actually legitimately played through a Gen 1 game, so let's give it a try. Lastly, before we begin, let's lay down some ground rules. In battle, I'm only allowed to use MUK. I'll need other Pokemon outside of battle for HMs, but they'll be left fainted and won't be used in trainer battles. No items in battle. This means things like potions, X attacks, paralyze heals, all that jazz. This is Gen 1, so we don't have access to held items, but we can certainly use items outside of combat, which will almost certainly be required. And finally, third, I'm not going to be using any glitches, cheats, or exploits, with the exception of using the Universal Pokemon Randomizer to replace Pikachu with MUK. Go ahead and make your guesses down in the comments if you'll think I'll be successful, and let's get started. We start off in Pallet Town by removing the potion that I assume our mom hid inside our computer, that's where I hide all my medicine, and head into the tall grass. After a few steps, Professor Oak comes running out into the tall grass without a Pokemon to warn us about the dangers of running into the tall grass without a Pokemon. As luck would have it, the Exxon Valdez is wrecked outside of Pallet Town and a walking oil slick is about to eat us. But Professor Oak just happens to have a Pokeball on him to save us from certain doom. He captures the MUK and leads us back to his lab. Our rival Tim is here. Why I nicknamed him Tim I honestly can't say. I think I was going to make a Monty Python joke of some kind, but alas, his name is now Tim. Professor Oak tells us the Pokemon on the table is ours and to take it. Just as we're about to grab it, Tim pushes us out of the way and takes it for himself. Professor Oak begrudgingly gives us the MUK he caught earlier, and we nickname him Emok, because it's cum spelled backwards. Just like MUK is also cum spelled backwards. Get it? I'll show myself out. On my way out, Tim stops us and insists that we have a battle right here in the lab, even though we're surrounded by his grandpa's expensive lab equipment. We graciously accept. The nice thing about this battle is although it's our first mandatory battle in the game, we don't actually have to win it to progress. That being said, there is an element of strategy here. The outcome of this battle will help to determine what Tim's Eevee will evolve later. This battle itself is unremarkable and is mostly just us Rochambeauing each other until one of us falls over. I take the moment to test out the accuracy of poison gas and we hit, and eventually win with a few more pounds. The fact that we won this match automatically means our rival is not going to have a Vaporeon later. That's a shame, because that's the easy one to deal with. After winning the battle, Tim scuttles off and leaves us to our own adventure. Professor Oak still thinks our MUK is Pikachu, he must be having a stroke, and we set off on our own adventure and leave town. We deliver his package and Oak gives us our Pokedexes, and then both of our journeys can begin. Tim tells us not to sleep with his sister, borrow a town map from his sister, but we decide to pay her a visit anyway. After retrieving the map, we're on our way back to Vermilion City, and our real adventure can finally begin. Once back to Vermilion City, after a quick heal at the Pokemon Center, we're clear to visit the Pokemart and get some supplies. I grab a couple Pokeballs to catch any HM users and some potions. Notably, antidotes aren't going to be needed here, as we're immune to poison, which will certainly come in handy at various points in the game. With that, we are clear to begin. This old man tells me he's had his coffee and apologizes for being rude to me earlier, which is interesting because I never talked to him or saw him earlier, so I'm not sure why he's apologizing to me. Must be another stroke victim. He ventures off in search of more Pokeballs after failing to catch a Pokemon, and we're clear to progress. But I decide to go back to Route 1 and catch my first HM Pokemon, Pidgey. I find one right away and catch it and attempt to nickname it Flapsity the First, but I can't find the backspace button, turns out there's not one, and I get it wrong. I catch the next one while nearly fainting to it, wasting turns on missed poison gases. This isn't a good omen. I properly nickname this one Flapsity the First, long may he fly, and get back to Viridian. I deposit them both and release my first failed name attempt and heal up. Catching my HM Pokemon as early as possible will mean they're going to be at low levels, which will be good for later on when I need to knock them out against wild encounters, which will not taint the run. After healing up, we move on. Before moving into the Viridian Forest, I take a few minutes to grind west of town on Route 22 while looking for a Mankey. I won't be using it in battle, but it'll be my strength user later, and getting a level 3 Mankey here will mean easy fainting in battle later. It takes a few minutes of wandering in the grass, but I eventually find one. Side note, they're not available here in red and blue, and they were placed here deliberately by Game Freak as a means for players to get past Brock. And all cards on the table, I've never understood that type matchup. Why is fighting super effective against Rock? And in later gens also Steel. I get that there are some people who can punch through a brick unscathed, but most people, if you strike something hard, you're going to hurt yourself more than what you hit. In any case, we catch the Mankey after some work, name him Bisepticus the First, long may he live. We still haven't left Viridian yet, and we decide to try our hand at the optional rival battle back on Route 22 past where we caught our Mankey. We're at level 8 now, and so is his Eevee, but he's also added a level 9 Spearow to his team. Spearow hits us with a couple of pecks, but we get past him relatively easily. His Eevee comes out, and now it's learned Sand Attack, which is going to reduce our accuracy. He goes for a couple tail whips in the process, and I think the battle is going well. That's when we start missing our pounds. We miss 2 pounds in a row thanks to the Sand Attack, and he knocks us out. Fortunately, this battle is not a must-win, but now that we've lost this battle, we can be certain which evolution Tim is going to have later. Comment down below if you know which one he's going to have. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. Now, we're going to need to grind before we battle Brock, and now that we have our 2 HM users that we can get here, we decide to head into Viridian Forest for that grind. We only have Pound, which is going to do very little damage against his rock types, so it's important that we get some extra levels here. Our trek through the forest is rather uneventful, as you'd probably expect. Lots of bugs, lots of bugs, lots of bugs, and some trainers who have lots of bugs. We pick up a couple potions hidden in the grass, including this one that must have fallen out of this guy's pants, and we make our way into Pewter City. I decide to go ahead and give the gym a try at level 14. I don't think we're going to win, we're probably going to need to be higher level, but let's just go ahead and see how it goes. The trainer here in Pokemon Yellow does not actually have a Geodude like he does in Red and Blue. This is because in Pokemon Yellow they decided to change the game around a bit, so there's going to be some various differences throughout the game. This time he has a level 9 Diglett and a level 9 Sandshrew. His Diglett doesn't even get a shot off as we one-shot it with Pound. His Sandshrew though has higher defense and takes a bit more work. He gets off a couple of scratches, but ultimately goes down quickly enough with a couple of pounds. We heal up with our potions and we try for Brock. Out first is Brock's level 10 Geodude. We trade pounds for tackles and I try for a poison gas. I get the hit which poisons him, which Brock immediately heals using a full heal. I pound again and try for another poison gas, which misses. Darn 55% accuracy. He tackles and I finally land another poison gas, but he full heals again. We trade some pounds and tackles, and I eventually whittle him down and knock him out, but my HP has taken a beating. It looks like I'm going to need to grind again. His second and last Pokemon is his level 12 Onix. I immediately land a poison gas, but he has another full heal for that. I try for Disable this time, which actually lands, and it disables his Screech. Now it's time for Brock to go for his signature move, Bide. Bide is easy enough to deal with. It basically immobilizes your Pokemon for 2 to 3 turns, and then at the end of those turns you deal back double the damage you took. So the easiest way around this is to not do any damage to him. I burn a couple of poison gases while he unleashes his Bide. It doesn't count the poison damage, and so we don't take any damage from his Bide. I gas him again, which lands, and he full heals again. I hit him with Pound before he goes into another Bide. 1 pound later and I realize I'm going to take damage now. I burn a couple more poison gases and fortunately his Bide misses. That's weird. I thought it was supposed to bypass accuracy checks and always hit, even if you're flying or use Dig. This may be our first example of the 1 in 256 glitch, a Gen 1 problem where any move has a 1 in 256 chance of missing, even if it's always supposed to hit. That means even 100% accurate moves are not technically 100% accurate. So that was super lucky. I pound Brock again and he goes for another full heal. Jesus, how many full heals does this man have? This is the first gym, by the way. We don't even have access to those yet. His Screech isn't disabled anymore, but it misses and I go for some more pounds. He lands a tackle and my disable misses. He then goes into Bide again, but my disable lands and it selects Bide. Now I legitimately don't know how this is going to work. I go for poison gas and I see the message that Bide is disabled, so I assume that was the follow through and land a crit pound. I get hit with Bide this time, so I guess disabling it mid-Bide doesn't stop it from finishing, and that brings me down to red health. This is starting to look bad. I hit him with Pound, and when he wastes his turn taking care of his poison with another full heal, that allows me to attack with 2 more pounds and get the knockout. That was lucky. We'd have definitely lost if his Bide hadn't missed. In any case, we won our first badge on our first attempt, and it's time to move on. We spend some time battling all the trainers we can find on our way out of town, and then run through Mount Moon. Our first spot of bother is this hiker who has 2 Geodudes and an Onix, but we're able to get past him. While later we catch a Paris and I nickname it Snipticus the First. Long may he cut. We end up getting into Cerulean City and I decide to go heal, and then take a crack at Misty's gym. Her 2 trainers aren't anything to write home about, but our battle with Misty is a bit more interesting. She leads with her Staryu and I land a poison gas to start things off. Misty then uses an X-Defend and lands a water gun before I get a pound in. She then lands a tackle, but I get 2 pounds and finish it off. Her next Pokemon is the Evolve form and is a level 21 Starmie. It hits with a Bubble Beam, which does a lot of damage as I land a pound. Misty then uses another X-Defend as I go for another pound. I'm just trying to beat her down as fast as I can, but these X-Defends are really tanking my damage potential. She misses tackle and I land another pound. Unfortunately, her next Bubble Beam is a crit, which takes me down to red health, and we trade a pound for a tackle. My next pound misses, and we have our second example of the 1 in 256 glitch already this run. Her next Bubble Beam is a crit though, and it would have finished us regardless. That was close, but I probably want to try this again with a couple more levels, time to grind just a bit, and it goes much quicker this time. Her Staryu gets off a water gun, but goes down with 2 pounds. Out comes her Starmie, and Misty immediately uses another X-Defend. I get off pound, while she lands Bubble Beam, which reduces our speed and then hits us with a tackle. We trade a pound for a tackle back and forth before she lands another Bubble Beam, bringing us to low health. But now somehow she's slower and I'm allowed to get off another pound to end it, and now we have our second badge. After beating Misty, it's time for us to try Nugget Bridge. Of course, our rival Tim is there and wants to challenge us. His first Pokemon is Spearow, which only gets off a growl and we take it out. His next Pokemon is a Sandshrew and we try for Poison Gas. We miss and it scratches us, and then I go for Pound, which turns out to have done half its HP. So had I done that the first time, we would have knocked it out here. My next Pound misses for another example of the 1 in 256 glitch, as it gets off another scratch before we finish it with Pound. His next Pokemon out is a level 15 Rattata, but we take it out in one shot with Pound. Finally, his Eevee comes out, and our Pound takes it to low health, while he wastes a Sand Attack, and we take it out with another Pound. We go back to the heal up at the Pokemon Center, and then go back to the bridge. Nugget Bridge isn't really a problem, and we're a bit over-leveled at this point. We nearly one-shot our way across the entire bridge. We get the Nugget for beating all the trainers, and refuse to join Team Rocket, even though the game never even gave us an option to say yes. What if I just wanted to join Team Rocket? We save him from his failed reenactment of the fly, he gives us our SSN ticket, and we can head back to arriving in Vermilion City. We collect the bike voucher from the fan club, and force of habit got me to collect the old rod, even though in hindsight we're not going to be using it for this challenge. Afterwards we go south and get on the SSN and promptly mop the floor with every trainer here. I guess we're still over-leveled. We clear out all the money we can from the rich people and we loot around as much as we can. I find the TM for Body Slam and promptly teach it to MUK. Since we're still so over-leveled, our rival fight is a breeze. We literally one-shot all of his Pokemon with Body Slam. After we look at the captain's puke in the trash can, and we collect the HM for Cut. With nothing else left to do on the boat, we disembark and watch it sail off into oblivion. We head back to shore and heal up and challenge Lieutenant Surge. His henchmen are easy enough. We even tank a self-destruct from a Voltorb quite easily. We finally find the first button after trying darn near all the cans, and then since I honestly don't know how this works, I go with Mah-Dry-Bread's strategy of trying the top left can. That wasn't it, and so we reset. We got it on the second try though. I haven't bothered to look if there's actually a puzzle here or if they're literally just random spawns, and you have to guess every time, but we got it the second try and we go for Surge. In Pokemon Yellow, since it follows the anime, he only has a Raichu. It lands a critical Thunderbolt, which does a lot more damage than I was expecting. Unfortunately, he also tanks our Body Slam, and it looks like we could be in trouble. For some reason, instead of using his 100% accuracy Thunderbolt again, which would have almost certainly secured him the win, he opts for the much less accurate Mega Kick at 75%, and it conveniently misses. Now that we have our opening, we follow up with another Body Slam to collect our third badge. With the TM for Thunderbolt in hand, which MUK can learn for some reason, along with Sludge in a couple levels, our moveset's really starting to take shape here relatively early. From here, I decide it's time to visit Celadon City for the first time and try my hand at the Grass Gym. We're going to resist her grass moves, so it shouldn't be too difficult. Apparently I'm still quite over-leveled, as I one-shot my way through a couple of her trainers and finally arrive at Erica herself. Her Tangela isn't the beefiest of Pokemon, but it actually survives a Body Slam, and proceeds to keep outspeeding me with Bind and Constrict, and I'm stuck. In Gen 1, those moves keep you from attacking, so I have to eventually rely on my moves being able to sneak in and finally get the knockout. Fortunately, she isn't doing much damage, so we're good. In comes her Weeping Bell, and it immediately lands a 75% accurate Sleep Powder to make me go to sleep. Then it uses Razor Leaf and gets 3 crits in a row. Back in Gen 1, critical hits were based on your speed, and Razor Leaf already has a higher crit chance anyway, so it lands 3 in a row. I'm still asleep, but for some reason, instead of using her crit Razor Leaf again, she goes for Acid, which I resist being Poison type, and wake up. I managed to take it out, but not before being hit with a Stun Spore. Now out comes her Gloom, but fortunately we break through the paralysis and get the easy knockout. We walk out with our 4th badge in hand and go heal. After healing up, I go behind the building and steal this guy's Eevee that he just left sitting here on the table. He doesn't seem to object, so I nickname it Aquades, long may he swim, and go buy a Water Stone to immediately evolve it into Vaporeon. Time to go to the game corner. After kindly persuading the man to move away from the poster, we press the button that we totally don't know that's behind it to open the secret door. We honestly have zero trouble down here. I've been saying it a lot lately, but we're still drastically over-leveled for where we should be in the game. This honestly wasn't my intention with this run, and I'm starting to regret battling all the avoidable trainers that I did up to this point, We're 2 times higher level than just about everything Team Rocket is throwing at us, so we're basically one-shotting our way through with Pound of all things. When trying to make room for the lift key that I can't pick up, I accidentally use an escape rope, so I deposit a bunch of items into the PC, which we'll sort out later, and go back. We retrieve the lift key and head down to the bottom floor. Team Rocket's very own Jesse and James are there, and they try to stop us, though they're just as inept as always. It also doesn't hurt that I have nearly 20 levels on them. Giovanni's up next, and he's just as easy here. He sets up a guard spec on his Onyx, while I take some time to set up a couple minimizes. He locks himself in with Rage, which is a basically useless move in Gen 1, since now he's stuck using just that, and it doesn't really do much damage. 2 body slams take down the Onyx despite the type disadvantage. Rhyhorn is up next, and he gets off a horn attack but goes down in 2 body slams. Persian is out, and he drops another guard spec to stop from being poisoned, but 1 sludge is strong enough for an easy OHKO, and that's it. We've beaten Giovanni for the first time. He smoke pellets himself out of existence, and we find that we're somehow sitting on this Pokeball containing the Silph Scope the whole time. Now we can finally go do the Pokemon Tower. Now that we're back in Lavender Town, we head upstairs to immediately fight our rival Tim. I'm really at this point starting to regret how high a level we are because we OHKO his entire team with Body Slam. Only his Eevee gets an attack in, and that's only because Quick Attack has a priority speed. With our rival now out of the way, it's time to continue through the tower. One thing I'm possibly worried about here is that we only have 1 non-normal damaging move right now, Sludge, and all ghosts in Gen 1 are part poison type, so they're going to resist it. It could be interesting, so let's see what happens. Yeah, my fears were unwarranted. All the Ghastly here are super low level compared to me, even the ones these old ladies have. They all go down to 1 sludge, even with it doing half damage. We rescue the wandering senior citizen and return him to the home where he gives us the ocarina that we'll be able to wake up Snorlax later with. We go ahead and heal up Muk and head back towards Saffron City to face Sabrina. I get to Saffron City and find that Team Rocket is blocking the entrance to her gym. Interesting. She doesn't work for them, so I'm not sure why they're keeping people away from her, but whatever. So it turns out at this point I have to beat the Silph Co. building first. I forgot about this, but it seems simple enough. There's a ton of trainers in here, and I'm trying to avoid fighting which ones I can, because I'm way over leveled up to this point. I decide to go ahead and look up a walkthrough and find the key card with as few battles as possible. Now it's time to fight our rival. We haven't had any trouble up to this point with him, so here we go. His Pokemon have all taken a big level up since we last saw him on the other side of town, and most have actually evolved now. This might be a bit more challenging. He leads with his newly evolved Sandslash, and it survives a Body Slam and hits a Swift. I accidentally use Sludge, and it survives and hits a Crit Slash. 1 more Body Slam finishes it though. Next is his also newly evolved Cloyster. It survives a Sludge, uses Clamp, which is another one of those annoying Gen 1 moves like Wrap, that hits 3 times and doesn't let us attack at all. We do finish it though with a Crit Sludge, but I think a regular would have done the trick too. Next is his Magneton, also newly evolved. It takes a Body Slam, lands a Crit Tackle, which doesn't do much. Steel isn't a type yet in Gen 1, so a Sludge is able to hit and knock it out. Kadabra comes out and we're weak to Psychic moves. It outspeeds us and hits with a super effective Confusion for major damage. We hit a Crit Body Slam though to take it out. We level up, get a couple more HP points, but this looks bad. Out comes his Flareon, and this is what his Eevee has evolved into. We knew this was coming, so I'm hoping some of you guessed properly down below. We outspeed it and fortunately hit a Body Slam, but that's not enough. We survive a Fire Spin, and I think we might be okay, but nope, Gen 1 rules. Fire Spin locks us in and keeps us from attacking. We were so close. I think that if we got better crit luck, we wouldn't have to grind, so let's try this again. We trade damage with Sandslash, but take it down in 2 Body Slams and a Pound. Cloyster comes out and takes a Sludge, confuses us with Supersonic, but then goes down to another Sludge. Magneton's out, and we hit ourselves in confusion while it lands Sonic Boom. We then trade Body Slam and Tackle before we take it down to a Sludge. Kadabra's out again, outspeeding us again, landing a super effective Psybeam for major damage. We barely survive and OHKO it with Body Slam. The whole Abra line is kind of a glass cannon. If we can survive their Psychic moves, they'll usually go down with 1 hit. Last out is his Flareon. It tanks a Body Slam again, but fortunately decides to go for Bite instead of Fire Spin. We survive it, land another Body Slam for the win. We use a Hyper Potion on Muk, and now it's time to fight Giovanni. He starts off with a Nidorino, which we OHKO with a Body Slam. Next up is his trademark TV Persian. It gets off a Screech, which chunks our defense down, but we OHKO it with a Sludge. Rhyhorn is up next, and we paralyze it with Body Slam. Giovanni uses a guard spec, and we do weak damage with Sludge. Rhyhorn's now fully paralyzed though, and we get a crit pound. He breaks through the paralysis for a horn attack, but another Body Slam finishes it. Last out is his Nidoqueen. It's part poison, so we don't try for Sludge. One Body Slam brings it to half health, we take his Body Slam and land one more to win the fight. Once again, he flips the light switch and now runs away, and we get our reward of the Master Ball from the president of Silph Co. Since we're only using MUK for this run, we're probably never going to use it, but we'll hold on to it for safekeeping. Now that we've cleared Team Rocket out, we can try Sabrina. She tells me that she knew I was coming, why she couldn't have just met me at the front door then, and the battle begins. Unlike the 4 Pokemon she has in Red and Blue, in Yellow she only has 3. It's the Abracadabra Alakazam line. Up first is her Abra. It doesn't know an attacking move, so we have time to set up 6 minimizes to give us maximum evasiveness. This should come in handy. I'm normally not one to do this, but when given the opportunity, let's see how well it works. Unfortunately, her Abra does know Flash, which it gets off twice, which is going to really hurt our accuracy. Once we reach the maximum evasiveness though, we finish it with 2 pounds. Out next is her Kadabra. It outspeeds us and goes for Psychic, but our 6 minimizes apparently worked and it kept it from hitting. One Body Slam takes it out. Her last Pokemon comes up next, and there's no prizes for guessing what it is. It's Alakazam, and this battle was gloriously dumb. She starts off setting up a Reflect, and I land a Body Slam. Then we see why I love Gen 1 AI sometimes. Her Alakazam knows Psychic and Psywave, but instead chooses to go for Reflect again, which fails. In Gen 1, this AI is programmed to usually go for moves that are going to be super effective type-wise. Reflect is a Psychic move, and so it's going to be programmed to use those super effective Psychic moves against MUK. It does, I guess, technically have a 1 in 3 chance of rolling one of the other two, but if it's going to keep landing Reflect, we'll go with it. Unfortunately, we miss a pound, and she buffs her defense even more with an X-Defend. We miss another pound while she goes for a third Reflect, which also fails. We miss our third pound while she fails her fourth Reflect, and we finally land a pound for the win. Did I mention her Alakazam also knows Recover? Gen 1 AI made it stand there trying to put up Reflects because it's a super effective Psychic move instead of just attacking me or healing itself. Gen 1 AI is great sometimes. I wonder if this is going to come into play later. One thing that is apparent is that we're not over-leveled anymore, as her levels have caught up to ours. We may have to start battling again, and we sure don't want to get too far behind. Now that we've caught up on the housekeeping and finished our Safari Zone, the only thing left to do in town is to take out the gym. So it's time for us to find and defeat Fuchsia City Gym Leader, and man definitely not thinking about how much poison powder he can put in your oatmeal, Koga. He leads with Venonat, but it's an easy one-shot with Body Slam. Out is another Venonat, and another Body Slam takes it down. He sends out a third Venonat, and this one for some reason survives Body Slam and hits us with Psychic. Even with it being double damage, we take surprisingly little and finish it with a pound. Finally out comes his Venomoth, I guess he had to evolve one of them. And it outspeeds us for a leech life, but it also hardly hurts us even at double damage, and we finish it with a pound. He gives us the TM for Toxic, which can be a devastatingly powerful poison type move. I may use it later, but for now I'm going to stick with what I have. I'll be adjusting MUK's moveset prior to Giovanni though, so stay tuned. Now that we're done in Fuchsia, it's time to head to our next challenge at Cinnabar Island. Once at Cinnabar Island, I buy some repels and take on the Pokemon Mansion. I don't remember where to find the secret key in here, but I poke my way around and within 3 max repels I find it and escape rope back out. It's time for the gym. I planned to fight all the trainers in here to get more XP and money before Giovanni, but I accidentally get some of these questions right and have to skip them. So it's time for Blaine. He starts off with Ninetales, who survives a Body Slam but wastes a move using Tail Whip. A single Sludge finishes it off. Next up is Rapidash. We're outspeeding it and we get off a Body Slam. It hits back with Takedown for a little damage, but a pound finishes it. Finally is his Arcanine, which can be a beast in this game. Can being the operative word. We hit it and paralyze it with a Body Slam. How we outsped an Arcanine, I'll never know, before it misses a Takedown. One Sludge finishes it and gives us the Volcano Badge and the TM for Fire Blast. For some reason, MUK can actually learn this move, so we may end up using it later. It's time to fly back to Viridian and see what we can do about the Team Rocket boss and gym leader Giovanni. I decide to fight most of his trainers, and after that it's time to fight Giovanni himself. Since he has mostly ground types, I've actually gone ahead and taught MUK Mega Drain, which we got all the way back in Celadon City from Erica. Dugtrio is one of the fastest Pokemon in the game, and it outspeeds me to land an Earthquake for major damage. A Mega Drain takes out over half before it uses Dig. We can't hit it underground and it comes up and hits a crit Dig for the KO. That was fast. We may have to be a much higher level to outspeed the Dugtrio or to at least survive its hits. Let's try this again. Dugtrio comes out first again, and this time Giovanni wastes his first turn using a Guard Spec. I hit Mega Drain for over half health. This time Dugtrio uses Dig, and I decide to waste another Mega Drain, and it hits Dig for big damage. A third Mega Drain helps restore my health and finishes off the Dugtrio. Now out comes his Persian again. It hits a double Fury Swipes and survives a Body Slam. A triple Fury Swipes brings me to yellow health before another Body Slam finishes it. Next out is his Nidoqueen, and it's part poison, so it resists the Mega Drain. It hits an Earthquake to bring me to red before surviving another Body Slam. Another Earthquake finishes me. We're gonna have to grind. I come back after some grinding and a couple rare candies, and now we're at level 66. Let's hope we have better luck. Out first is his Dugtrio, and it goes for Fissure. And hits. That's a one-hit KO. And this attempt is over. So let's try that a fourth time. I come back for a fourth try, and his Dugtrio lands Fissure again. This is going to be brutal if this keeps happening. That's 2 times in a row he landed a 30% accurate move. According to the math that I've acquired from some coworkers, that's a 9% accurate chance. And that's assuming he only had Fissure. It's even lower when you figure he has 4 moves to choose from. The fact that he keeps hitting us first shows we're not outspeeding it either, which I didn't expect, but come on, Fissure? Twice. Let's see if we can get past it. So I'm a glutton for punishment, and I just come back for an immediate 5th try in rapid succession. This time we have much better luck. He starts out his first turn with Dugtrio using a Guard Spec. We hit Mega Drain for a crit and the one-hit KO. Finally, we're out of the way with Fissure. We probably would have gotten it without the crit because of the levels, but I'll take it. Next out is his Persian. Again, Giovanni goes for another Guard Spec on his first turn. We hit Sludge for an Oko. Now we're getting interesting. His Nidoqueen's up next, but we outspeed it for a Body Slam, which takes about half damage. She hits a big Earthquake, but we survive and hit another Body Slam to knock out. Out comes her husband, the Nidoking, and we land a Body Slam. We just barely survive an Earthquake and land a second Body Slam for the knockout. Finally, out comes his Rhydon, and although it knows Horn Drill, another one of those pesky one-hit KO moves we've been dealing with, we fortunately outspeed it, landing a super effective Mega Drain for the one-hit KO and get our 8th and final badge. That took longer than I thought it would, mostly just due to bad Fissure luck, but we finally got it nonetheless. Time to face the Elite Four. But before we go to the Elite Four, I actually forgot about Tim. He's just waiting on the west side of Iridian for us, so it's time to fight him again. He doesn't really pose too much of a difficult challenge, though. We're 15 to 20 levels above all of his Pokemon, so this goes pretty quick. Now it's time for Victory Road and the Elite Four. Along the way, we level up to 69. Nice. And eventually level 70. First up is the Water Trainer Lorelei. Her Dugong survives a super effective Thunderbolt, but just uses Rest. We hit a crit Sludge for the knockout. Next up is her Cloyster. We hit a Sludge and get the Poison. It returns fire with double Spike Cannon, but we land another Sludge. Slowbro is out next, and I want to Oko it with Thunderbolt. We don't though, and it lands a crit Psychic for massive damage, but a Sludge finishes it. Jinx is out next, but goes down to a single Body Slam. Lapras comes out, Mega Drain hardly does anything. She hits a Blizzard, but we survive and get a crit Thunderbolt to win the match. It's time to use a Hyper Potion on MUK, and now face Bruno. Bruno is up next, and he's not a challenge at all. His first Onix goes down to a Mega Drain. Hitmonchan gets paralyzed from a Body Slam, and Bruno just wastes an X-Defend for it to faint to another Sludge. Hitmonlee goes down to a Sludge. His next Onix goes down to a Mega Drain. His Machamp survives a Sludge, hits a half-damage submission, and then goes down to another Sludge. On to Agatha. Alright, our first go at this old biddy is rough. She leads with Gengar, we outspeed it, and get off a Thunderbolt which paralyzes it, but it breaks through for a weak Mega Drain. We hit back with Sludge, and Gengar is now fully paralyzed. We hit another Sludge, and it survives and lands a Confuse Ray. We hit ourselves in Confusion while Agatha wastes a Super Potion. We hit ourselves again, and she lands a crit Lick, which paralyzes us. She lands a second crit Lick in a row when we get off a Thunderbolt, which it survives, and she uses another Super Potion. We hit ourselves in Confusion again before getting off another Thunderbolt. She lands a crit Mega Drain before we finally take out this Gengar with a Sludge. That's just her first Pokemon. Up next is her Golbat. It's faster than us thanks to our paralysis, but its leech life doesn't hit hard. Our Thunderbolt hits harder and sends it packing. Her Haunter is out next, and thanks to paralysis, it gets off a Confuse Ray immediately. We're now confused and paralyzed, and we hit ourselves in confusion while it goes for another Confuse Ray, which fortunately doesn't work, while we land a crit Thunderbolt paralyzing it. We're both fully paralyzed, staring at each other across the battlefield, and I try a risky play for Mega Drain. It doesn't take enough damage though, and she uses a Super Potion, but another Thunderbolt ends it. Out comes her Arbok, which lands a Screech, which tanks our defense, but we stay fully paralyzed. It lands another Screech before going down to a single Body Slam. We're not in a good position for her final Gengar, and it knows Psychic, and since we don't have the health to tank it, we go down. This could be rough. If we get some better confusion and paralysis luck though, we might be okay. Let's try that again. We fight back to Agatha, so we come in one level higher this time, and it goes much better. Her Gengar is out first again, but we land a Thunderbolt early. We get hit with Confuse Ray, but manage to break Confusion to land another. She heals it, and we electrocute her Ghost again. She heals again, we electrocute it again. It goes for Confuse Ray, and we go for the Sludge Knockout. Her Golbat is an easy one-shot again with Thunderbolt. Her Haunter comes out, and we get a Thunderbolt off before being confused. We hit ourselves in confusion, but she withdraws her Haunter, sends out her Arbok. We paralyze it with a Body Slam. It's interesting that this time we were one level higher, but didn't knock it out like we did last time. She swaps back into her Haunter, who now goes down in a Thunderbolt. Arbok comes back out, and we land a Sludge to finish it. Now is her Nightmare of a last Gengar. It lands a major Psychic early, but our Thunderbolt paralyzes it. We go for the Mega Drain for a bit of recovery, but it hardly hurts while her Gengar remains fully paralyzed. Fortunately, we get a crit Thunderbolt to end it and get past Agatha. Now it's on to Lance, so we heal up, restore some PP, and move on. Lance is up next, and he leads with Gyarados. It's double weak to electric moves though, so one Thunderbolt takes it down easily. His Dragonair comes out next, and one Body Slam takes it down. His second Dragonair comes out, this one survives a Body Slam, hits back with a weak Bubble Beam, and goes down to Sludge. Out next is his Flying Rock, Aerodactyl. It's faster than us, but only lands a trivial Swift before going down to a super effective Thunderbolt. Finally is his famous Dragonite. It takes a Thunderbolt before dishing back a Thunder. We hit back with Body Slam, and Lance heals with a Hyper Potion. We land another Body Slam, and he misses his Hyper Beam. Another Body Slam takes it to red, but he doesn't heal, and instead misses a Thunder. We land a Sludge and have officially beaten Lance. It's time for us to try and beat our rival one last time. Let's see if we have what it takes. Everyone comment down below if you think we've got this. Here goes nothing. Out first is his Sandslash. We get it to half health with a Mega Drain, and it lands a big Earthquake. We get a second Mega Drain though, and it finishes it off. Out comes his Alakazam. It lands Kinesis to mess with our accuracy, but one Body Slam takes it down. His Execute's evolved to Executor now, and we paralyze it with Body Slam. It ends up fully paralyzed, and we finish it with another Body Slam. Magneton is out next, and we land a Sludge which poisons it, but it survives and paralyzes us with Thunder Wave. It then lands a big Thunderbolt, and now we're fully paralyzed. It hits a Screech before we finally get off a Mega Drain to finish it, but this is looking bad. Cloyster comes out next and hits a crit Aurora Beam. We miss our Mega Drain thanks to Kinesis, and Cloyster lands an Ice Beam. We try for another Mega Drain for recovery, but it's not enough, and we're finished off with Spike Cannon. That Magneton paralyzing us really hurt us. Let's try for that again. Second try goes about the same. We land a crit Mega Drain on the Sandslash, which gets Tim to burn a full restore. We hit another Mega Drain, but he lands a crit Earthquake to bring us down. This looks bad. Another Mega Drain will heal us a bit and get him out of the way though. And out comes Alakazam, which chunks our accuracy with Kinesis again before going down to a Body Slam. Executor is out now, and we paralyze it again with Body Slam while it misses Hypnosis and goes down to another Body Slam. His Magneton's out now, and this is where that Kinesis really hurts us again. We land our Mega Drain for a little while he lands a Swift. We get a paralyzing Body Slam onto him while Magneton lands a Screech. We miss a Sludge and take a Thunderbolt. We miss another Sludge as he fails another Screech. We miss a third Sludge in a row, and Tim finally uses a full restore. We paralyze his Magneton again with a Body Slam before another failed Screech, and a Body Slam takes it down. His Cloyster's out now, and we land a Mega Drain for some heals, but his Spike Cannon crits and hits 3 times. We miss our next Mega Drain, and he crits us with an Aurora Beam. That Kinesis is killing us. Let's try it again. We land the Mega Drain on Sandslash, but it crits us again with Earthquake. We finish it with Mega Drain, but don't get much health back. This time Alakazam doesn't go for Kinesis, and instead crits us with Psybeam to take us down. This is going to be rough. We go back for round 4, and it starts more promising though. We get the Sandslash down to half health before it lands an Earthquake. This time we manage to avoid the crit and hit it with another Mega Drain to take us to Alakazam with green health. Okay, not so bad. It outspeeds us though, hits us with a Psychic, this time for major damage, but we survive. It goes down again to 1 Body Slam. Executor is out again, and we get a crit Body Slam bringing it to red. It misses Hypnosis, and we land another Body Slam to finish it. His Magaton's out now, and we land a crit Body Slam for a one-shot. That's the luck we needed. Cloyster's out now, and as much as I'd like to heal here off his water type, I can't give it a chance to hit me back, so I go for the one-shot with Thunderbolt. We're just going to have to take our chances on Flareon with what health we have left. Out comes his Flareon, and we hit a big Body Slam, and thanks to Gen 1 AI, it uses Reflect since it's a psychic move, and the game thinks that'll be super effective. I switch to Thunderbolt to bypass his Reflect and land it for game, and we finally beat Tim the champion. We're finally champions, and we did it all with only a MUK. What a run! My first challenge, and we did it. Challenge in air quotes. I know MUK isn't the most challenging Pokemon, but it got rough there at the end between Giovanni, Agatha, and our rival. We ran into some issues. It didn't help that I chose a Pokemon that our rival would send in 2 super effective Pokemon in a row against to start the final battle. But there we go, guys. Thanks for watching. I plan to do more of these challenges, so be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to ring that bell to be notified when the next one comes out. I think maybe we'll try a Gen 2 run, even though I don't know much about Gen 2, but we'll see. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Now go catch 'em all.